Hey there, Launch Coders. This is Zoltan, Vardy, CEO and founder of The Launch Code. And today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about business models and how to find the right business model for your company. Now, business models may not be as sexy as, let's say, Instagram models, but I actually think they're far more critical to the success of a growing business. In fact, I think business models are a bit underrated. They're kind of dry, right? They're financial stuff. But the reality is the right business model will ensure that your company doesn't just survive, but thrives in the long term and continues to grow. Now, there's a typical trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into. I call it the business model trap because it actually makes them think the wrong thing about their prospects. Here's what it looks like. There's a really visionary entrepreneur, right? He wants to change the world. He's got a great innovation. He knows who he wants this product or service to appeal to. And so he builds this great business. And he thinks he's done. Well, the reality is there's an other half of the equation. And that equation is, how is that product or service going to make money? In other words, how are you going to be able to produce it at a lower cost than what you will be able to sell it for to your target customer? That is what will generate a profit. And that is what will ensure that you have a long-term sustainable business. Now, the trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into is that they think they only need to continue to build this business until they find the next round of funding. But that's a mistake, because if you're building a business just to find the next round of funding, you're not playing the long game. What you need to do is to find a sustainable business model that ensures that your company will grow and prosper. You need to be able to demonstrate to investors and to supporters and to stakeholders that your business is viable. And to do that, you need to have a profitable business model. I think it's so important. I've actually made it the number 2 building block of my Launch Code business development system. What exactly is a business model? Well, there are as many business models as there are types of businesses, but you can kind of talk about a couple of typical ones. So you can be a manufacturer, you can be a distributor, you can be a retailer, either brick and mortar or in e-commerce. You can be an agency, just to name a few. At its most basic level, you have kind of 3 categories of businesses to consider. You have products. So you can produce a physical product and sell it directly to the consumer or to retailers or to wholesalers. You've got services, that you can provide a service that delivers value to customers without ownership of specific costs and risks. And then you've got a hybrid setup where you actually produce and sell a product and provide services that support this product or on a one-off or ongoing basis. Now, you will find lists of literally 50 business models on the internet. I've tried, just Google it. There's a tremendous number of business models out there. I've narrowed this list down to the 4 most common business models for technology-driven startups, okay? The first one is a subscription business model. So you basically charge consumers a subscription fee to get access to your service. A common method of delivery is known as software as a service, right? So this is when you essentially host your service in the cloud, and basically you license customers the ability to access that service via the cloud. A good example of subscription-based service is Netflix, or let's say Salesforce, if you're in the business-to-business space. The second typical or most common business model among technology startups is the freemium model, okay? This is when you allow sellers to basically, you have basic elements of your service that you offer for free, okay? And then you have to pay something in order to access more premium elements of the service. Don't confuse this with the free trial, right? Which where you can maybe access the entire service for a certain period for free. This is when you only offer certain elements of the service and then you have to pay extra to get access to more. So typical business models that you'll find are companies with this business model are MailChimp, let's say, and LinkedIn. The third typical business model that you have is the marketplace. And this is when you basically allow sellers to list items for sale, and then you create this platform where buyers and sellers can access each other through this platform, okay? You can use this for products, you can use this for services, you can sell additional extra things like buyer's insurance, so there's peace of mind, so you can add elements to it, but really the marketplace works for both products and services. So typical marketplace businesses, eBay, Airbnb, and Amazon. And finally, there's the advertising business model. Basically, you create content that people access, okay? They can either read it or watch it, and you display advertising that's targeting that consumer around that content, okay? You have to basically satisfy two customer groups, right? On the one hand, you have the readers or viewers, right? The people who are consuming the content, and the other side, you have the buyers or the advertisers, basically, who are trying to sell some sort of product or service to those viewers. Your readers may not be paying, or your viewers may not be paying, but certainly your advertisers will. So typical business models like this are YouTube and Facebook. There are other common business models out there, right? You've got software, e-commerce, digital downloads, franchising. What business model you choose depends on your business needs and what value you want to create for your stakeholders. Now, certain business models are the most popular because they are known as scalable business models. A scalable company is one that can maintain or improve profit margins while their sales grow. So this generally means that your unit cost, basically the cost of producing one single piece of your product, declines over time as your business expands. Now, having a business model that is scalable is the holy grail of the startup world. Everybody waters at the mouth for scalable business models. So if you have a scalable business model, it means you can effectively grow more easily, both into geographies or into new markets. And scalability gives you more flexibility and comfort. If you are looking for an investor, especially if it's a venture capital institutional investor, then your ability to raise funding increases dramatically if you have a scalable business model. So investors love those type of business models. Entrepreneurs need to have a clear idea of whether their business is scalable or not. Business models that aren't scalable could still be really profitable, but as a small business, but they'll function more as a small business, so they won't be able to scale in an economical way. You must convert your business model to a financial model, okay? So that's when a lot of the theoretical stuff I just talked about, you have to turn into actual numbers, okay? So to do this, you basically apply specific financial assumptions to 3 different parts of your business model, and you kind of bring it to life, at least on paper, all right? So what are these 3 parts? The first part is everything that it takes to make something, okay? So what is that? Design, raw materials, manufacturing, labor, okay? That's all part 1 of your financial model. The second is everything it takes to sell that thing. So marketing, distribution, sales commissions, delivering a service, processing the sale, all of those are things that you actually pay for to deliver or to sell that thing. And the third part, part 3, is how and what the customer pays. So that's your pricing strategy, your payment methods, your payment timing, and so on. So if you're creating, let's say, and selling a physical product, okay, you need to ask yourself a series of questions. And there's a lot of questions you ask, so I'm just gonna give you a couple to think about. What is the cost of producing 1 unit of my product, okay? How does this cost per unit change if you produce 1,000 of these or 10,000 of these or even 100,000 units at once? Normally the cost per unit would decline as you produce more. How will you promote and deliver your product to your customer? Will you use marketing, direct sales, or some combination of the two to make your target customer aware that your product is available? How much money are you going to spend on each of these? How will you physically ship your product to your customer? And what direct costs will this process generate? How much will your customer be willing to pay for your product? And how much profit will you be able to generate for each sale over the course of a certain period? So a lot of really, really important questions that you have to go through in order to create this financial model. So once you've kind of answered these questions, what you'll do is you'll basically make certain assumptions to answer many of these questions. And to do this, you can use a simple spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel. Now, remember to plan for both direct and indirect costs, okay? Direct costs being things that are directly related to producing the item for sale, okay? While indirect costs are expenses like human resources, labor, office space that exists, whether you sell what product or not, okay? So there's a direct and indirect cost. And when you're planning your revenues, you have to have kind of 2 things in mind. How much are you going to charge for your product or service, and how many of these products or services or customers will you have, right? So how much are you charging and how many are you charging? And that multiple will give you effectively your revenue. And finally, keep in mind that to generate a profit, you not only have to make it profitable on an operating basis, but you have to be able to cover the cost of that time until you reach profitability, okay? So that is also going to be part of your investment needs, so to speak, from building a business. Now listen, building a business model is a process. All right, it takes time. Once you've completed your kind of first draft of your financial model, you're going to end up going back to it and updating it regularly. Okay, you're going to get new information from certain suppliers. You're going to get new information based on real, actual customer engagement, and you're going to get a sense of actually what the real cost and the real revenue potential of your product or service is. You'll also be able to experiment with certain scenarios, right? Changing your costs, your pricing, your profit margin until you arrive at a financial model that you feel is sound. This type of modeling, okay, is something that any entrepreneur should get used to. It's not just for finance geeks and for financially oriented people. You've got to be able to get the basics down for business modeling. And by the way, the reason it's called business modeling is because back in the day of the first personal computers and the first spreadsheets, companies would start kind of plugging in these various numbers, and they would create various models of their business based on this new technology at the time in the 1980s. So that's everything I can share with you at this stage about business models and how you can find the right business model for your business. You must stay committed and focused to finding that right mix of elements and building a sustainable and hopefully scalable business model. Don't fall into the trap of just trying to build your business until you run out of money and then you can raise some more funding. Okay, that path is not going to deliver long-term potential for you. Okay, build a business model that's sustainable on its own, and you will continue to grow your business. So keep these insights in mind as you build your company, and I guarantee that your business will blast off.